It's January 22nd, 2021, and I have a great vlog for you. Today, we're going to talk about starting a podcast and why it's easier than you think.
It's currently 9:35 and Mashi hasn't even had a sip of coffee yet. We're going to capture that rare expression of someone who hasn't had a sip of coffee all day, and this is their first sip of coffee. About to go skating in a few minutes. Zamboni's coming through, getting the ice all nice for us.
So why did I want to do a vlog all about podcasts? Well, it's something that I've been thinking a lot about lately, and I have a lot to say on the topic. I recently started my own podcast with Michael Costa. It's called Photography Brothers. I also talked my friend Matthew into starting a podcast literally yesterday. You can find it on Spotify if you search Jam Wisdom. And last night, I was talking to Masha about some ideas for starting her own podcast about what else? Dogs, obviously. And for some reason, I feel like people have this perception that it's pretty difficult to record and distribute a podcast. At least that's what I used to think, especially on the distribution side. But it's actually way easier than you think, and that's why I'm making this vlog.
Alright, I think that this works really well as another chill on the couch and talk about stuff segment of the vlog. So let's get into it. How do you start a podcast? Well, the first step is to pick a topic. You're going to want to pick something that you really care about and something that there is an audience for. The whole point of creating a podcast is to create regular content you're probably going to want to upload like every week, so you're going to have to be passionate about the topic that you pick. The next thing that you're going to need is some art for your podcast. You're going to need a cover. Now, I happen to be in a bit of a unique position since I own a creative agency and I have a graphic designer on staff. But if you don't have a graphic designer, you can pretty easily make your own podcast cover in Photoshop or probably even in Canva. The next thing that you're probably gonna need, I can't think of too many podcasts that don't have one, you're gonna want a theme song. Now, the trick here is finding some music which is copyright free. My best source for copyright free music is stock music on YouTube. YouTube has basically solved the problem of copyright free music, in my opinion. I mean, they have a lot of tracks. They might not have exactly what you're looking for, but chances are if you just type YouTube stock music and check out the resources that YouTube provides, you'll probably be able to find a track that's gonna work for you. If you can't find anything that you like within YouTube's database of stock music, there's a whole bunch of other websites where you can download stock music. They just cost a little bit of money. Things like Artlist and Soundstripe. You can go ahead and search those on Google. Next, it's really important that you decide the type of podcast that you want to have. And there's basically three types of podcasts. There's solo podcasts where there's only one host. There's co-hosted podcasts where there's two hosts. And there's podcasts that frequently have guests. In my opinion, it's pretty difficult to run an entire podcast by yourself with only one host. Most of the podcasts that I listen to tend to have a co-host or tend to feature guests. But it's really up to you. If you want to try to handle everything yourself, that's fine. If you want to have a co-host, that's great. And if you want to have guests, that can also be a great way to produce podcast content. And now comes the part that's a little bit tricky. You're going to have to record your podcast. In order to do that, obviously you're gonna need some type of microphone. I have a nice vocal mic here that I can use. I also have my shotgun that I have on top of my camera right now as I record this video. There's a whole bunch of other cheap options. Rode makes a really cheap podcasting mic. There's the Blue Yeti, which probably will get you by. If you don't have anything at all, you can just use your cell phone. The important thing is that you find out where the actual microphone is on your cell phone. In my case, it's like right here, and make sure that that is pointed towards your mouth when you're recording. There's a lot of different types of software that you can use to record your podcast. I tend to use Adobe Audition since I already have the Adobe Suite, but I've heard of people using Audacity, Pro Tools, all types of different software that you could choose to use. If you're recording your podcast remotely, which a lot of people are doing right now, obviously, you're gonna probably wanna use Zoom, but you're not gonna want to use the audio from Zoom. So when I record my podcast, Photography Brothers, I record my own audio track on my side, Michael records his audio track, and I basically use the Zoom call recording as reference to put the entire thing together. It's a little bit of editing, a little bit of post-production, but nothing too complicated and nothing too time-consuming. I honestly pretty easily get out an episode of Photo Bros every week. Now, there are a whole bunch of different platforms that will allow you to publish your podcast. Podbeam is another one that a lot of people use, but I found that it is super convenient and simple to use a platform called Anchor. And this step is really important because I think this is the part that holds a lot of people back. With Anchor, it's super easy to distribute your podcast. Basically, I just upload my episodes to Anchor, I enter the description, I enter the title, and it automatically pushes my podcast episode out to all of the most popular platforms. It's super easy to get it on Spotify. It takes an extra step if you want it on iTunes as well. Getting it on Google Podcasts, also easy. And lastly, you need to promote your podcast. So promoting your podcast is pretty much like promoting anything else. You could spend a whole bunch of money on ads. You could promote it on Google. I don't know, you could do all types of crazy stuff. But I think probably the simplest way to promote your podcast when you're starting out is to use social media. You can create a Instagram account for your podcast. You can create a Twitter. Any of these things are great ways to introduce your podcast to a wider audience rather than just kind of relying on search terms, I guess, within platforms for people to find your podcast. And that's going to be it for this vlog, guys. I hope that this was really helpful. I intend to go into the process of starting a podcast in a little bit more detail in future videos. But for now, I just want to really drive home the point that starting your own podcast is not as difficult as you think. My friend Matthew literally started a podcast yesterday. I started a podcast a few months ago, and my fiance Masha is going to be getting her podcast out the door pretty soon. So again, thank you for tuning into the vlog. It's been super fun making vlogs for all of you this week, and I look forward to bringing you some more vlogs next week. I'll see you on Monday.